You've probably followed tons of relationship advice in your life. Play hard to get. Always text back quickly. Show her you're mysterious, or never seem needy. And yet, here you are, frustrated, confused, and wondering why it still doesn't work. What if I told you that most of what you've been told about relationships is completely wrong? By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why almost all relationship advice fails, even the advice from experts, and what the research actually says about building attraction, connection, and lasting relationships. Once you know this, you'll never fall for the same mistakes again. Relationships are complicated. People are emotional, unpredictable, and deeply influenced by psychology you might not even be aware of. Yet, most advice focuses on surface-level tactics, tricks, games, and rules, instead of addressing the deeper principles that actually make attraction and connection work. In this video, we're going to break it all down. First, we'll explore why most relationship advice fails. Then, we'll uncover the psychology behind attraction and connection. And finally, I'll show you what actually works, research-backed strategies that build real, lasting relationships. Let's start with the first problem. Most relationship advice is fundamentally flawed. You've probably heard it all. Play hard to get, never show too much interest, always make her laugh, or if he really likes you, he'll know what to do. Sounds familiar, right? But here's the truth. Following these tips often makes things worse, not better. The reason these tips fail is simple. They treat relationships like a checklist. They assume human connection can be solved with a few tricks, rules, or hacks. But relationships are complex emotional systems, driven by psychology, attachment styles, and deep subconscious needs, not superficial behaviors. Some common advice you've likely heard: always act mysterious and never reveal too much. Make her chase you, don't be too available. Show her your high value with accomplishments or money. If she doesn't reach out, move on immediately. These sound logical on paper, but they completely ignore the emotional dynamics that actually create attraction and long-term connection. Research shows that humans are driven mostly by emotion, not logic. When it comes to attraction and relationships, trying to hack her feelings with surface-level tactics rarely works long-term. Even worse, focusing on tricks teaches you to perform, not to genuinely connect. You may get short-term interest, but lasting attraction comes from compatibility, emotional awareness, and communication skills, not game playing. Think about it. You've probably followed some tip like always be confident or never seem needy, and it didn't work. You might have thought, am I doing something wrong? The answer is, the tip itself was incomplete. It ignored the deeper psychological factors that actually make relationships succeed. So now that you understand the problem, it's time to dig deeper. In the next chapter, we'll explore the psychology behind relationship failure, the real mechanisms that determine whether attraction lasts or fizzles out. Once you understand this, you'll see why almost all the advice you've been following might have been setting you up for failure. Now that we know why most relationship advice fails, it's time to understand the real reason: human psychology. If you don't understand how the mind works in relationships, no tip, hack, or trick will ever help you. Research shows that people, especially in romantic contexts, are driven mostly by emotions, not logic. You might think you're making rational choices, but often your feelings are calling the shots. This means that tips like always be logical or try to reason with her feelings often fail. Emotions respond to security, connection, and subconscious signals, not surface-level tricks. Another key factor is attachment style, the subconscious blueprint you developed in early relationships with caregivers. Secure attachment, comfortable with intimacy, trusts others. Anxious attachment, fears abandonment, seeks constant validation. Avoidant attachment, struggles with closeness, prefers independence. Attachment styles affect how you and your partner react to each other. Most generic advice doesn't take this into account, so it can backfire completely. Many people also fail because of unrealistic expectations. Advice often tells you to find the perfect partner or the ideal connection, but psychology shows that expecting perfection is a fast track to disappointment. When people focus on superficial traits or checklist items, they overlook compatibility, emotional alignment, and values, which are the true predictors of relationship success. Finally, cognitive biases play a huge role. Confirmation bias, noticing only behaviors that match your expectations. Projection, assuming your feelings or needs are obvious to the other person. Halo effect, overvaluing someone based on attractiveness or charm. These biases make it easy to misread signals and follow the wrong advice, thinking it's the key to success. Think about your own experiences. Maybe someone seemed perfect, but small disagreements or unmet expectations kept derailing things. That's not because you did anything wrong. It's psychology at work, subconscious patterns, emotional triggers, and biases shaping every interaction. So now that we understand the psychology behind relationship failure, in the next chapter, we'll break down why surface-level hacks and tips don't work and why trying to game relationships can actually make things worse. Understanding this will change how you approach every interaction. Now that we understand the psychology behind why relationships fail, let's talk about a big mistake most people make. Relying on surface-level tactics, those quick tips, tricks, or game-playing strategies that promise instant results. Here's the harsh truth. They almost never work long-term. You've probably heard advice like, act mysterious, don't reveal too much. Play hard to get, make her chase you. Always compliment her to boost your value. Use psychological tricks to trigger attraction. They sound clever, right? But here's why they fail. They focus on behavior alone, ignoring the deeper psychological and emotional realities of connection. Humans are complex. Attraction isn't a checklist. You can follow every rule perfectly, but if there's no emotional alignment, shared values, or genuine connection, nothing will stick. Tips like always act confident or never text first might work for a day or a week, but over time, your partner senses inauthenticity or imbalance. And when the novelty wears off, the connection crumbles. Hacks appeal because they're simple and measurable. They give the illusion of control. Do X, get Y. But relationships aren't math problems. They're dynamic interactions between two complex humans with emotions, history, and subconscious patterns. Surface-level advice also encourages performance over authenticity. You're acting like someone you're not, and people subconsciously sense that. Imagine you follow a tip to act mysterious for weeks. At first, she's intrigued, but eventually, she might feel distant or confused because she's not seeing the real you. That's exactly what happens when relationships are built on tricks instead of real connection. Now it's time to get to the part that most advice never talks about, the real predictors of a successful relationship. Lasting attraction comes from deeper psychological factors that most people completely overlook. First, emotional flexibility. Research shows that couples who can handle stress, conflict, and change together are far more likely to stay happy. It's not about avoiding arguments. It's about navigating them effectively. Next, compatibility matters more than surface-level chemistry. Shared values, long-term goals, and mutual respect are the foundations that actually keep attraction alive. Couples with secure attachment styles tend to have healthier, more stable relationships. They communicate openly, manage conflicts effectively, and provide emotional support. In contrast, insecure attachment, anxious or avoidant, can sabotage even the most perfect initial connection. A huge predictor of relationship success is acceptance. People who expect perfection are often disappointed, while those who accept flaws in themselves and their partner build stronger bonds. This is why so many idealized relationships fail despite perfect first impressions. Another key factor is communication, not just talking, but emotional awareness. Partners who can express needs, listen without judgment, and respond empathetically create trust and intimacy that hacks can't replicate. Now that we understand the science behind relationships, it's time to focus on what you can actually do. First, work on yourself. Understand your attachment style, your emotional triggers, and your values. Emotional self-awareness is critical. You can't build a healthy relationship if you don't understand your own needs and patterns. Practice reflection. When a conflict arises, ask yourself, why did this trigger me? Rather than immediately blaming your partner. This builds emotional resilience and prevents unnecessary fights. Next, focus on communication. Not just talking, but deep listening. Make your partner feel heard. Ask open-ended questions, validate their feelings, and respond with empathy, not judgment. Good communication creates trust and intimacy that hacks can't replicate. Third, prioritize compatibility. Identify your core values and ensure your partners align with yours. Long-term satisfaction depends less on physical attraction and more on shared goals, beliefs, and lifestyle expectations. Fourth, practice flexibility and acceptance. Conflict will happen, and people are imperfect. Instead of trying to control or change your partner, accept them, flaws and all, and navigate challenges together. This fosters stability and connection. Finally, stop trying to perform or follow rules. Don't act a certain way to impress. Authenticity is magnetic. Show your true self and let the relationship develop naturally. This builds trust, reduces stress, and creates genuine attraction. If this video helped you see relationships in a new way, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more research-backed insights. Drop a comment below. What's the biggest relationship myth you've fallen for? I'll be reading every response.